Every day we come to the social media to give our political analysis of Nigeria society, and we are beginning to sound like a broken record. I am not surprised the federal government of Nigeria issued a statement that 800 Boko Harams that were captured, caught right in the act of perpetrating terrorism, are currently being demilitarized and, of course, being rehabilitated. I am no longer surprised. It is more or less like we are now becoming so repetitive. It's more or less like we are now sounding like a broken record because we see that the Nigerian federal government will always, at every point in time, favors terrorism. The Nigerian government is not created to survive based on morality, based on doing the right thing, based on justice. Nigeria will not survive when justice thrives. Nigeria will not survive when morality thrives. Nigeria will not survive when there is lack of corruption. Let us take a look at what is going on around the country. The current president of the day is currently being convicted in the United States of America for 450,000 for a proceed that was generated from narcotic deals. Igbo, cocaine, that's what it means. This is the man that is leading Nigeria today. So tell me, what sort of dealings do you think this man would have with the likes of CIA, with the likes of America, with the likes of India, with the likes of China? A man who right from his youthful days was caught up in such heinous crime. A man who was alleged to have been, heavily involved in drug trafficking, in drug business in Africa, down to, Guinea. I mean, there was a video that went viral at a point in time where it was caught that him and Soholu, I mean, the video was there. These were all speculation and allegations. When so many controversies surrounds the federal government, most importantly, those that have always led this country, people like Nnamdi Kanu will never have their way. People like Showore will forever be vilified. People like Peter Obi will never be trusted that he is not corrupt. Nigeria today, it is dangerous for you to be righteous. In Nigeria today, it is highly and heavily dangerous for you to be incorruptible. When you say you will not partake in any form of unpatriotism, when you come out and challenge them, the likes of Ganifa Wemi, may so rest in peace. Those that came out and said, I will change the status quo. I will not dip my hands into corruption. Then they tell them they are not fit for Nigeria. And this is why a person like Nnamdi Kanu say, I am not fit for this country. I am not ready to kowtow. I am not ready to cower. I am not ready to compromise. The same fate has also befallen a person like Simon Ekpa. The same fate today is what Peter Obi is facing. The same fate today is what a person like Showore is facing. Nobody wants to take Showore seriously because they think, oh, get out. You work with the corrupt politicians. Why are you not being arrested? Why are you not? Get away. When you are not corrupt, Nigerians living in Nigeria will tell you, because majority of them are all corrupt. Corruption, sympathizers, all of them, because they have not gotten to the seat of power. They'll tell you, you cannot go there and not have a share in the national cake. In fact, Nigerians will tell you, when you get to power, make sure you do the job, but you self chop. Now, when man they work, they chop. Now, conversations like that is only an alibi for you trying to justify a perfect excuse that, yes, corruption is what is widespread and it's acceptable. The only offense of Nnamdi Kanu, the only offense of every freedom fighter in Nigeria that have been prosecuted, that have faced serious injustice, is because they have failed to compromise. Let me tell you a story of Adams Oshiomhole. Adams Oshiomhole, who used to be a freedom fighter in the 80s, in the early 90s. Even this was a man who stood tall, shoulder to shoulder, challenging. He was being chased down by military when Obasanjo was there. But when Oshiomhole came in contact with the play, the current president of the day, a man that has a middle touch to compromise anybody, Tinubu got in contact with Oshiomhole. And we know the story of Oshiomhole today. There are so many corruption charges against him when he was the governor of Edo State. There are so many petitions how they have allegedly rigged the Edo election, stating that they have now empowered touts. That's why I told you, in Nigeria, you cannot see yourself as a civil person. You cannot. When you do not act like an uncouth person, you will find it hard to rise on the ladder to prosperity. When you see the likes of MC Oliomo, when you see the likes of Kabaka, Tony Kabaka in Edo State, when you see the likes of, what's it called, these militants, Tompolo, Asarido Kubos, these are all guys that grew up to prominence. They call them political influencials, mercenaries today. These guys are 5 and 6 with the political juggernaut in Nigeria. When you talk about Asarido Kubo, when you talk about Tompolo, when you talk about Kabaka, when you talk about MC Oluomo, if you go into the north, you have them there as well. These are machineries. This is what Nigeria society will turn any sane man who lacks the resilience of the likes of Nnamdi Kanu. You will eventually fold. And that is why I gave you the story of Adams Oshiomhole. When we were growing with Adams Oshiomhole as a man, we thought he was supposed to be a mentor. We all looked up to him as a social justice fighter. We saw him as a freedom fighter. We never knew this was a man who had a prize. And the only reason why he kept on shouting was because he has not been offered the right prize. But of course, we knew when Jagaban met him, how they what? They monetized his freedom fighting schemes. And over the years, we can see that Adams Oshiomhole has become a shadow of himself. And this is why they tell you that Nigerian activists are all paid. Nnamdi Kanu is an activist. He's a revolutionary. He's a man who is openly fighting for the justice of not himself alone. Nnamdi Kanu's fight is not a fight for himself. Sometimes when I have conversations with my brothers in the Southwest who are seemingly against Nnamdi Kanu's current ordeal, or who support his current predicament, like they want to support the federal government, I look at them and then I laugh. I said, do you know the major crux? Do you know the context? Do you know why Nnamdi Kanu is being vilified? Do you? I gave them the perfect, history. Nnamdi Kanu was a political juggernaut. He was a prominent political influencer in Africa. He went to the UK. He participated in the United Kingdom politics. So this is a man who is politically astute. He is not a rookie. He is not a JJC. Nnamdi Kanu politically, if he wanted to go the Nigerian way today, Nnamdi Kanu would be as big or bigger than the likes of Alex Otti. Alex Otti and co are not revolutionaries. They do not have the charisma. They are not vocal. Today, if he wanted to go the Nigerian way, wherein he will soil his fingers and hands, he could have decided to just lean towards Tinubu. And he will also be seen as a political leader, as it were. in the Nigerian society today. But he said, I am fighting against injustice. When the federal government controls the majority of the resources, generated within this country or this contraption, then we must confront the federal government that we need a change in status quo. He said, why is my region being unfairly treated? Why don't we have access to good roads? He started from there. Then he went further. He said, why don't we have quality educational infrastructure? Are these beyond him? Are these requests too many to ask? I mean, these were the things he asked when he was still a believer in the Nigerian purpose. He asked again, he said, why is it that the federal government has not made an effort to intentionally develop after the civil war? The promised 3 R's, reintegration. Don't forget they are reintegrating Boko Harams that openly committed atrocity. But under Gowon, back then in 1970, they promised 3 R's, reintegration, reconstruction, and reconciliation. Which of these have been done? He had this out of his premise to ask as a Nigerian. When he asked and asked over many years, when nothing happened, then he sought for help from the United Nations. And in the United Nations Charter, it is explicitly written that every group of people, whether in an existing country or not, if they can collectively come together, they can seek for a secession. And these are his arguments. He called out the excesses of the Lotham Fulanis. He said the Nigerian government is supporting, abating, and promoting inequalities, all in favor of the Northern Fulanis. When you check a list of the names of those committing this onslaught in the north, majority of them are first and foremost Muslims. They are mixed first, then secondly, Northern Fulanis. You hardly see houses there. The second occupation the Fulanis now do in Nigeria, also after animal husbandry, is now banditry, kidnap, terrorism. And the federal government cannot come out to challenge this head-on. An Igbo man who is seeking for his own development because of the words of mouth is being labeled as a terrorist. Yesterday, the Nigerian Court again has indefinitely adjourned his case. For what? Because he failed to compromise. He said he wasn't going to be corruptible. That is why I said, in Nigeria, if you decide to be different, they will do everything possible to amend you, to cut you into pieces. And we can see that whether we like it or not, whether the Nigerian government like it or not, the time for revolution is near. Because the Nigerian people are reawakened. I can see the Fulanis are fidgeted because they have a stronghold on the Nigerian economy. What is stopping this revolution is for the South to unite. When the Igbos and the Yorubas finally put aside their differences, I can guarantee that the Nigerian unity will be aggressively questioned.
Let me tell you, first of all, the people that were affected by this attack are my people. They are my people, true and true. They have ended up in Ebonyi State today, but we still know them as Nkanu people, Ama Nkanu people, true and true. They are my people. Umunesha community, Amukwe, Amego. These are my people. And we know them, and we know the history of the things that have been happening in those communities. There is a history, and I'll touch on that history. But I still refused because being that insecurity is a kind of a weird thing. Anybody can take advantage of a situation, commit crime, and then expect that other people will be, accused for that crime. I decided to hold back and look at the evidences that are coming out. It took me 2 days to read articles, to check to see if there are people who are investigating the attack, to make calls, to speak to my brothers and sisters. in the interior communities. And everybody was saying the same thing, that Amego was attacked by herdsmen. Amego was attacked by herdsmen, including all the news reports that came out. Amego was attacked by herdsmen. Until Nnemeka opened that space, I had already had enough evidence. But before that evidence came out, there were people that were already running around claiming that this attack is IPOB. This attack is this attack is that, with no evidence, with nothing to back that up, even when all the reports were saying that this attack were committed by Fulani herdsmen. They were still pushing IPOB propaganda. I said, okay, let me wait. Maybe there could be some IPOB angle to this. But based on what I know, because these are my people, these are my communities, there is no activity of the IPOB anywhere around those communities. No camp has been identified belonging to the IPOB. The way you have it in Oso, Olo, or Ihiala. IPOB does not operate in those localities. It's just a stone's throw for Ehamufu, which Obego comes from. And Obego can tell you categorically that what they have been suffering in Ehamufu has always been herdsmen attack, because these communities border Kogi State and Benue State. So when we came up and we started saying that we know, we have had enough evidence to claim, to believe that the people that committed these attacks were herdsmen, they came and claimed that Mazi was pushing propaganda. But they had already started pushing lies. They had already started pushing propaganda, telling us that, oh, it is not. They were trying to shut him up. That was when one individual, one charlatan came and told us something, a theory I've never heard in my whole life. Igbo herdsmen. For the first time in my life, I heard of Igbo herdsmen. But we rejected that narrative because we are the victims and we know exactly what happened. We have people there. But to even make it better, we reached out to other people and said, Ndubisi, Obagudam. They said, let us call the people of the community. Let us get them involved in this. And what did we do? We called the people of the community live on a space. That space was recorded. It's still on the BC timeline. If you have the opportunity, go and read and listen to that space and listen to the submission given to the professor, Professor Idenyi. Professor Idenyi is not an unknown person. He is a very well-known person in that community. He is the former chairman of the Academic Staff Union, whatever, ASU, in Ebonyi chapter, in Ebonyi State. He is not an unknown person. This is not a man that will come and put his reputation online to come and lie. And if you listen to that space, you understand exactly what transpired in that community. First of all, he spoke to us from a mortuary in Ehamufu. His uncle was killed in that attack. And a lot of people that were killed in that attack, because the community does not have a mortuary, their own morgue. So they deposit them in Ehamuf, which is the closest, biggest community around them. So they deposited some of those bodies there. He was speaking to us from that mortuary when we called him. And he gave us a chronology of events. Now he said, sometimes in December, Fulani herdsmen who have always lived around their community, in the forest around their community, feeding their cows, and who have camps there, came and accused their farmers of killing some of their cows. The farmers came and said that they have no hand in the killing of cows. In fact, they have not seen any cow, that they are being accused wrongly. In the heat of the moment, he said the Nigeria police came and arrested up to 12 members of the community and took them to the police station somewhere in Hamufu. Since that December, they have been trying to get them released because they kept, you understand, claiming their innocence, that they have nothing to do with the killing. If cows were killed, it wasn't people from their community. He said just about about 2 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, please, I start to be corrected. Those people were released since December. They were held the entirety of January, almost the entirety of January, and then they were released. Then they started getting threats from those herdsmen, telling them that there will be retaliation for what they did. And they kept proclaiming their innocence, that they did not, in any way, shape, or form, kill any cows. Why are they threatening them? He said that at a point in time, the herdsmen told them they were going to come the week prior to the attack. A lot of members of the community started leaving the community in fear of the retaliation. They did not show up. Some people stayed put until the attack occurred. He said it multiple times that the community members identified them as Fulani herdsmen. These were not Igbos. They were not even from that community. Are we coming up here to make a mockery of the memory of those who were killed? Or are we saying that the community members are all mad people, that they could not identify those who killed them? He said that when they finished killing the church members in that church, they went into the bush along the line as they were leaving. They went into farms and started killing more people in the farms. Bodies were strewn all over the place in the farms. And then what happened? When the information started leaking, the local government chairman of Ishielu sent some policemen to come to see if they can help to curb the issue. By then, katakata commotion was everywhere. And then the army came. He said that the army came and started going into the bush and were picking bodies, people that those herdsmen killed as they were leaving the community. They were picking their bodies and returning them to the village. Innocent people that were in their farm that had no idea that the community had already been invaded. They were massacred and they were brought back, and then they had already burned down the community. In America, you saw the extensive damage that was done to that community. Are we coming here to say that the community members are liars? Are we coming here to say that a reputable professor like Professor Ndubisi Deni, a well-known professor in Ebonyi State, is a liar? Are we saying that the community members do not know who attacked them after they had received multiple threats by the headsmen telling them they were going to come and attack them? And they made good of their threats and they came and attacked them. What exactly is the agenda here? I need to understand. But let me